Hi, I have books. Hello, so I ordered these about a month ago and I literally don't remember what it is that I bought. So we're gonna find out together. And I'm also going to read the first sentence of each book in my order and provide my first impressions. I don't think that it's fair to judge a book by its first sentence, but it is fun, so we're gonna do it anyway. Okay, so the box says warning, may contain awesome books. Let's hope so. I mean, these were my book selections. I just don't remember what they were. I do remember one of them.
I remember that I purchased an Edith Wharton book because I will potentially be doing a buddy read for that one. And I believe that one of the other books was a fantasy book, but I don't remember what it was. I don't even remember how many books I purchased. I feel like it was 4 to 6. It's either 4, 5, or 6 books. I'm pretty sure. But essentially, this is a book outlet purchase. I had never heard of Book Outlet before, but Lauren from Young's and the Restless, I can't recall if it was something she commented on one of my videos or a reply to a comment I left on one of her videos, but she mentioned that there was like a classics sale at Book Outlet, and so I popped in there, and then
as soon as I was on the website, I was like, oh, because I didn't really intend to purchase more than like 1 or 2 books, but that's not what happened. So let's see what we've got. Okay, I feel like I should put this on the floor. Okay, is this the fantasy book? No, I don't think this is the one I was thinking of, but it's called The Sirens by Emilia Hart. And I do remember now, this one was on sale. I mean, they were all on sale. The most expensive one I do remember was $10. And then the rest were significantly cheaper. And I don't remember how many books I purchased, but I do remember that the average when I calculated was like $7 per book, like $6.90, something like that. For some reason, I remember the number, but this is by the author of Wayward, which is a book I read last year and liked quite a bit. So let's go ahead and read the first sentence. It's a really beautiful cover. I mean, obviously it's a hardback, so I would be removing that for the actual reading. I was hoping it might have something on the actual hardcover, but it's just black. Let's take a look at the first sentence. It starts with a quote, actually, from Nathaniel Hawthorne from The Ocean. It says, "The ocean has its silent caves." Makes sense for sirens. So part 1, prologue. I think that's fair to start with. So the first sentence says, "She breathes in time with the sea." That's beautiful. I love that already. I'm not sure what she means by it, but she breathes in time with the sea. I love anything that uses the sea or the ocean very symbolically, so I'm looking forward to seeing what we get out of this one. Okay, next one, and I believe I'm looking at it from up here, that this is one of the fantasy books, or probably the fantasy book I was thinking of. This is Hemlock and Silver by Kingfisher. I have loved everything I've read of hers so far. I've read a couple different genres from her, and so wanted to purchase this as soon as I saw it because it was significantly cheaper than it is at, your typical bookstore. This one does have a little something in the front. I closed my eyes and stepped through into the silver. I believe this is supposed to be like a Snow White retelling. Let's take a look at the first sentence here, chapter 1. "I had just taken poison when the king arrived to inform me that he had murdered his wife." Well, that kind of throws you right into the middle of things, doesn't it? So that sounds like it's going to be fun. Looking forward to that one. Let's see, next book. Oh, okay, Medea, a novel. So this is, I'm on my Greek myth journey this year, and this is a retelling. So looking forward to this one as well, because pretty much every month I'm reading at least one book tied to the history of Greek mythology. So let's take a look. This is by Eilish Quin, not an author that I've read before. All right, so chapter 1, that's a very short sentence. I think I should read a little bit more, so I'm going to kind of finish off that paragraph, or maybe just the first 2 or 3 sentences. "Of the Oceanids, there were innumerable. My mother was the youngest, and so too lately born to be a novelty among the Titans or the gods." Okay, so it starts with a little bit of like the family history, but it's going to depend upon the style of the prose, which is hard to tell so far from just those couple of first sentences, and what this author does with the retelling of Medea, which is one of the more maligned female characters in Greek mythology. Okay, next. That's 3 books. So definitely have more than 4 of them. Let's take a look. The Way Home. Oh, yes. Okay, so this is Peter S. Beagle, The Way Home. I will not be reading this right away because really what I was looking for, I now recall, was The Last Unicorn. So these are 2 novellas from the world of The Last Unicorn. I was watching somebody's YouTube video. I cannot remember the booktuber's name, but I will look for him and then hopefully put it up here somewhere. But he reminded me that there is a book called The Last Unicorn, and that was an animated film that I grew up absolutely adoring. And it's one of those that I feel like I'm the only one who ever saw it. Like, I ask people and they don't recall this animated film. So to discover that it was actually previously a book and that it was one of his absolute favorites, it got me really excited, and I immediately went online to search for it in the book outlet because I was going to be looking for books there anyway. They did not have it, but they did have The Way Home. I do still need to full price purchase The Last Unicorn so that I can read that, and then I will at some point move on to this. So I'm pretty thrilled I didn't even know that there was anything beyond that initial book. So it's nice to have several things to read in this universe. Okay, so 2 Hearts is the name of this first chapter or section, I suppose. My brother, Wilfred, keeps saying it's not fair that it should all have happened to me. I think I'm going to read a little bit more for this one. Me being a girl and a baby and too stupid to lace up my own sandals properly. But I think it's fair. I think everything happened exactly the way it should have done, except for the sad parts. And maybe those too. I like that, the except for the sad parts and maybe those too. Because, sometimes the sad parts are the ones that kind of make us who we are, right? So this sounds like a pretty straightforward style of prose, which is to be expected. I assume this is, YA. So looking forward to it. I do like that simplistic sort of tone when there's like a lot of depth to the story, despite the simplistic prose, because some of the greatest children's literature or YA literature is, while easy to read, also very deep in terms of like the actual content, the themes that it's exploring, and the sort of emotional impact. So I really want to get to this like right now, but I really do need to purchase The Last Unicorn before I do. Okay, here is the Edith Wharton that I knew I had purchased. The Age of Innocence, which is probably her most well-known title, at least it's the one most well-known to me. I do own one other novel by Edith Wharton, but have not actually read it. So now I have 2 of them. I'm not sure which one it is that I'm buddy reading. It will be with Tracy from Tracy's Nordic Light. And whichever one we choose, I'm excited for because I haven't read anything by Edith Wharton, which, I really should have at this point. But let's go ahead and read the first sentence for The Age of Innocence. On a January evening of the early 70s, Christine Nilsson was singing in Faust at the Academy of Music in New York. Okay, so very like setting the scene, specific time, specific place. We've got the introduction of the character. So this one feels very straightforward as an intro. But that entire sentence forms the first paragraph. So I am going to stop it there. I don't know too much about how the prose sounds from just that one sentence, but can I just say I really love how this book feels? It's like very floppy. It's going to be really easy to like hold on to this while I'm reading. So that's a nice a nice plus that has nothing to do with the quality of the story. Last but not least, oh yes. Okay, I forgot that I bought this, The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. I've been meaning to read this for a million years. I mentioned it in a recent video in my ingredients that I like in a book as one of the books that probably has a lot of those ingredients and that I need to read. It is kind of a hefty one. It's, let's see, over 500 pages. But I think that it will probably be really immersive for me. But let's go ahead and see the first sentence. We've got a little map at the start here of something. Don't know what yet. Oh, of the Abbey. Okay, so naturally, a manuscript. That's the title, I suppose, of the first either chapter or section. And let's read the sentence. On August 16, 1968, I was handed a book written by a certain Abbé Vallée. The manuscript Oh, sorry, I should be reading this in French, I suppose. Okay, let's start over. On August 16, 1968, I was handed a book written by a certain Abbé Vallée, Le manuscrit de Don Hudson du Melk, traduit en français d'après l'édition de Don G. Marbillon? No, Mabillon, sorry. Aux presses de l'abbé de la Source, Paris, 1842. Okay, apologies for my accent, guys. Okay, supplemented by historical information that was actually quite scant, the book claimed to reproduce faithfully a 14th century manuscript that, in its turn, had been found in the monastery of Melk by the great 18th century man of learning to whom we owe so much information about the history of the Benedictine order. Okay, that's halfway through the first paragraph. I had to read 2 sentences there because the first one was mostly just the name of the manuscript in French. I think I wasn't expecting it to feel so modern. It seems like somebody in the present day has discovered a manuscript from the past, but that already feels kind of mysterious and like we're uncovering something. So I think I'm definitely going to enjoy this classic. That covers all of the books in my book haul. How many was it? 1, 2, 3. It was 6 books. So it was in my 4 to 6 range, in the upper range of that. And then I also wanted to point out a couple of other books that I purchased yesterday, literally yesterday. Again, zero intention of purchasing books. I just walked into this bookshop cafe to sit there on my laptop and get some work done since I actually had a remote day. But there was a table for Women's History Month and it just, it was a losing battle. So I bought these 2. This one, again, me on my Greek myth journey, is Pandora's Jar by Natalie Haynes. I actually already read this book. I read it in audio format, so I'll be talking about it in my wrap-up, but I saw it and I knew that I wanted to have a physical copy anyway, so I just went ahead and grabbed it. So it was wonderful, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have bought the physical copy. And then the other one I found is called Poet, Mystic, Widow, Wife, The Extraordinary Lives of Medieval Women. This is by Hedda House. So this is a nonfiction. They're actually both works of nonfiction. And this one just follows like 4 different women in the medieval period and should be really interesting. I forgot to read the first sentence of this one because I have already read this book, but I'll go ahead and do that for the sake of this video. The introduction is by the author, so I'll start there. When Harry Hamlin stood behind a pillar in the darkness of Medusa's lair in the Ray Harryhausen film Clash of the Titans, flames flickering off his shield, his face glistening with sweat, my brother and I were transfixed. So this is kind of like her entry point into her love of these stories, and that's why it kind of opens up her intro. And she does throughout the entire the entire book, refer to different kind of more popular culture retellings of these ancient stories. So I won't talk about it too much more since, as I said, I'll be discussing it in my March wrap-up in a future video. And then this Poet, Mystic, Widow, Wife, The Extraordinary Lives of Medieval Women. Since this is nonfiction, I will go ahead and consider the introduction the start of the book. And we start with a quote, "A woman lewd, feeble, and frail," by Julian of Norwich, Revelations of Divine Love. Okay, and then our official first sentence, "I am told very bad things about you. I hear it said that you are a very wicked woman." That's a promising start. So really enjoy books in general about women's history and unexpected information because women were so kind of behind the scenes and so silenced for so long that it's really fun to uncover what we didn't know about so many important women and so many just like everyday women living their lives throughout history. So I am pretty happy with my book haul, especially considering that, what's funny? I spent about the same amount of money in just like a regular bookshop on these 2 as I spent on the other 6. So the book outlet was a nice call. I just didn't really need to be buying all of those in the first place, but I've got them now, and I will get to them at some point. That covers my book haul. I don't have like a really fancy closing here, but I will be seeing you guys in my next update, which will probably be my March wrap-up, but I'm still trying to complete a couple of the books that I'm reading for March, so I won't be filming that until after the very last day of March. Please let me know in the comments if you guys have any special finds, budget books that you have found lately, or just any recent purchases that you're really excited to read. And thank you once again for joining me. See you soon. Bye-bye.